We all make our preseason predictions. They're so much fun to do in every single sport to try to predict how this upcoming NBA season was going to look like. And then it's about like the mid-season mark and we look back and we were just like say to ourselves like, what were we thinking? So in today's video, I'm just going to be talking about 5 NBA teams that are just pretty disappointing through the midway mark of the 2023 season. This isn't going to be in any particular order, but yeah, it's just teams that we had at least higher expectations. Maybe we thought they were going to be a play-in tournament team, but they're not even sniffing that. Maybe we thought they were going to be a playoff team, like a top 6 seed at the end of the season. Maybe they're not even going to be in the play-in tournament or something also like that. Or yeah, we thought they could be in title contention and they're just a playoff team. I'm going to go through all of these. I'm not trying to dunk on your team. There's a couple of reasons why these teams could be disappointing. It's just maybe that young player didn't take that next step. Maybe there's a few injuries, some coaching issues, maybe some locker room issues. There's a bunch of reasons why a team could be disappointing this season. Let me know if there's a team that I missed down below that you think has disappointed this season, or maybe one of these 5 teams you think really hasn't been disappointing and you expected this from them. So yeah, let's get into this. The first team we're going to be talking about that has been disappointing this year is the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are 21-24 at this current moment. They're the 12th seed in the Western Conference, and kind of more notably, they are 1-9 in their last 10 games. And this is a team that has just been decimated by injuries. So there's only one player in the starting 5 for the Suns that has played all 45 games for them, and one bench player. That one starting player is Mikal Bridges. That one bench player has been Damian Lee. Everybody else on this team has missed games due to injury this season. DeAndre Ayton has missed 6 games. Devin Booker has missed 16 games this season. This has just been such a disappointment for the Suns, at least that they just haven't been able to stay healthy. Chris Paul, you could say, was their second best player going into this year behind D-Book, has only played in 26 out of their 45 games. Chris Paul also just had an abysmal start to this season. He's played fairly well overall looking at his 26 games. Mikal Bridges has been solid this year as well. You know he's going to be bringing it every night on the defensive end. He's also shooting 39% from 3. DeAndre Ayton, I think, has been fairly solid for them this year and has been probably their most consistent healthy player. For players that have missed games this season, he's averaging about 17 and 10. That's basically what you want for DeAndre Ayton, especially everything that happened last offseason. They're 13th in offensive rating and 16th in defensive rating, and yeah, like the reason why they are this low is due to injuries. It just sucks because we thought they were going to be in that finals contention again. I mean, we didn't maybe think that they would be the best team in the Western Conference. You had the Memphis Grizzlies, you had the Golden State Warriors. Like, the Suns were really not above those two teams in the preseason predictions. I just didn't expect them to be the 12th seed at the midway mark. Next up, we have the current 9th seed in the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are 22-22, and pretty much after the Nets, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, everybody pretty much had the Atlanta Hawks in that next tier of Eastern Conference teams. But they just haven't lived up to their preseason hype. They are 21st in offensive rating in the NBA, behind teams like the LA Lakers, the Indiana Pacers, the OKC Thunder. Who expected that from a Trae Young-led offense? A bright spot for them, though, they are 12th in defensive rating. They're also a team that has had their fair share of injuries this season. Not one player on this team has played every single game for them. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray both have played 39 games. There's already been a little bit of animosity between those two players this year. There's already like also some locker room issues with Trae Young that happened in the beginning of the year. Like, we didn't know if Nate McMillan was going to be their head coach post All-Star break. I feel like John Collins has been in a new trade rumor every single week. And it feels like this Atlanta Hawks team just a few years ago had such a deep team. Like, you thought they had like 5 or 6 guys off the bench that could be starters on other teams. And it's really coming to hurt them this season. Playing guys like Justin Holiday, Aaron Holiday, Jarrett Culver, Frank Kaminsky. It's just not the same as playing guys like Danilo Gallinari and Kevin Huerter. I still expect the Hawks to make the play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference, but I can't confidently say that they are a top 6 team in that conference right now. Next up, we're going to talk about the 9th seed in the Western Conference, the 22-23 Minnesota Timberwolves. We all know the trade the Timberwolves made in the offseason, man. It's going to go down, in my opinion, as one of the worst trades in NBA history. I said it in the offseason how much I didn't like it. It really effed up the trade market as well in giving up all those picks and all those player assets for Rudy Gobert. Not for Kevin Durant, not for Donovan Mitchell, for Rudy Gobert. It was such a risk. It tends to happen with new owners, and that's what happened with the Timberwolves. The new owners came in, they wanted to make a splash, they went out, they called up Utah, they got Rudy Gobert, they're trying to do the Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns frontcourt. It has not worked. Walker Kessler, a rookie that they traded in that Gobert trade, has had a phenomenal season, and they might just be better off with him. Not also Malik Beasley, who they traded, Patrick Beverley, Leandro Bolmaro, Jared Vanderbilt, who has had a great season for the Utah Jazz. Like, just imagine plugging, just like, take out Beverley, take out Bolmaro, just Kessler, Vanderbilt, Beasley on this Timberwolves team, it would just help out their bench so much. And then they also gave up a plethora of first round picks. But yeah, the Timberwolves, I thought at least they were going to come off to a hot start. They were going to be a top 4 seed in the West probably at this point. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, see, the Rudy Gobert trade wasn't that bad of an idea. I thought they were going to be a really good regular season team. Well, it has not gelled at all. They're 19th in offense, 13th in defense. I mean, 13th in defense with Rudy Gobert is probably a disappointment in its own right. And Gobert has been fine. Basically, Rudy Gobert on defense this season, but they have just struggled offensively. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns has missed his fair share of games this year. Naz Reid has emerged, and it looks like they are not going to extend him. Yeah, maybe even just having Naz Reid and Cat in your front court for the future would have been more exciting and better off than having Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns. It looks like they want to make a D'Angelo Russell trade at the deadline. Anthony Edwards has been progressing as we expected him to, and I also think that this Timberwolves team, like the Hawks, will be in the play-in tournament. I don't think that they're going to fall out of these spots that they've been hovering around all season. I'm still fairly high on the Timberwolves compared to some of the other teams in the West. I just didn't think that there was going to be this many issues right away. I thought they were going to come off just like out the gates a little bit better than this. And like, I guess people like us would have been like, all right, maybe that Gobert trade won't be as bad. No, it's been as bad as advertised and as everybody thought it was this past offseason. And yeah, next up we have the 7th seeded Golden State Warriors, who are 22 and 22 at the moment. The Warriors are 15th in offense and 18th in defense at the moment. And yeah, being 544 games through the regular season is very disappointing for the reigning NBA champions that a lot of people thought were going to repeat this year. While they still can, it's not looking very likely at the moment. But yeah, the West is still wide open. Steph did miss 14 games. They've been playing much better over the last month than they did to start the season. Steph's been great. Clay and Wiggins has been just basically what you can ask for out of them. Jordan Poole has had his struggles. Draymond is basically doing what we always know from Draymond Green, but he did have the off-the-court stuff to start the season. But I think what's been most disappointing for this Warriors team has been the progression of their young guys. Their young 3 of James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody. Now, I think Moody has been fine. Maybe it's just because this team is very deep and he hasn't been able to get that volume, that opportunity that some of us thought he was going to get in year 2. Kuminga has been very inefficient, especially from 3 and from the line, and you're just not seeing that second year jump that you would have hoped. And then you're like, yeah, maybe that's why the Thunder took Josh Giddey over him. And yeah, probably the biggest disappointment is James Wiseman. He's in year 3 of his rookie contract. He has just been up and down throughout the G League. He's had some good offensive games, but he has looked really bad on the defensive end. His on-off splits aren't great. DiVincenzo has been a nice add for them. I expect them to make a move at this year's deadline, because if not, I don't think that they're going to repeat this year. And lastly, we're going to talk about the 20 and 24 Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are tied with the Chicago Bulls, who I could also maybe even mention here, as the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, I wasn't as high on the Toronto Raptors as the overall consensus. I had them pretty low in my preseason predictions, and everybody was kind of hating on me. I didn't think they were better than Cleveland. I didn't think they were even better than like Atlanta. I thought the Knicks could be better than them. But yeah, the Toronto Raptors have been disappointing this year. They're 14th in offense, 15th in defense. They've been around league average. I think like Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, the reigning rookie of the year, has had a disappointing sophomore season. 45% from the field, 28% from 3. Maybe I'm just salty that he said you're not that guy to Quentin Grimes, but I think you guys can agree with me. Pascal Siakam has had a fantastic season. He was actually on my list of 5 players that I love for this year. I thought he was going to be in the MVP conversation. I don't think I'm necessarily wrong with that. I mean, he's not in the MVP conversation because the top end of the league, the top talent, is just in another different stratosphere, but Siakam has had a very good season. Fred VanVleet has struggled kind of all year. I mean, Nick Nurse is running him to the ground with average minutes a night being at 37. He has played better as of late. He had a nice game against the Knicks the other day. Gary Trent Jr. is struggling from the field. Precious Achiuwa has been struggling from the field and from 3. But OG Anunoby has been a bright spot both on the offensive side and the defensive side. He's up there in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He's also been in trade talks as well. I mean, there's some teams that I would love to make a trade for OG Anunoby, one being the Memphis Grizzlies, but it seems like they're going to be asking for way too much in return for OG, like 3 unprotected first-round picks and a good young player. I don't think any team is going to offer that for OG at this year's deadline. They're also a team that's had their injuries, but their top guys haven't missed as many games as some of these other players that we've mentioned. Like Siakam hasn't missed as many games as like Karl-Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves or Devin Booker for the Suns. Like I said, I wasn't super high on the Toronto Raptors, but I think they've been disappointing through their first 44 games this season. So yeah, I'm not trying to dunk on any of these teams. A lot of them have had some major injuries to their top guys. All I'm saying is in a vacuum, they are disappointing right now to where we thought they would be in the preseason. Let me know down below maybe some other teams that you thought could be mentioned in this video. Like I said, maybe the Chicago Bulls could be here. You could even say the LA Clippers. The LA Lakers maybe not as likely because people thought they were going to be a play-in tournament team, and they're just right there on the cusp. And I guess we all could have factored in an Anthony Davis injury. You could also say the Houston Rockets as well because they have been really bad. Like, I don't ever want to watch a Rockets game at the current moment. Jalen Green hasn't maybe taken that next step this year as we thought, and yeah, they're 10-34, and maybe they're just going to get Wembanyama and James Harden, and they'll be a lot more exciting next season. Maybe you thought that they could have been a play-in tournament team this year, but that is looking like it's the OKC Thunder. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video down below. Drop a like if you want to see me maybe talk about my top 5 most surprising teams this year, because I would really like to do that. And yeah, I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.